up early, sitting in the sunroom, he'd invited her on his morning cruise. Asked permission from Ham, who'd spent way too long mulling over the answer. Ham was out of his element for the first time in his life. Poor guy, the man could plan an op against a Taliban stronghold, execute and extract key prisoners, and escape through the mountains, but he didn't know how to talk to a 10-year-old. Worse, he was shaken by the fact that the woman he'd married had escaped the bombing that he thought had taken her life, that she'd borne him a child, that she'd spent the last decade in hiding, and that he'd been too late, again, to save her life. Yeah, Ham had his own regrets to run from, a snarl of unspoken confusion. And not that Jake knew much about kids, but being the favorite uncle of his sister's rascals, he knew that sometimes you just had to stop trying so hard. Probably advice he needed to give to himself. Let it go, according to his twin nieces, Lola and Darcy. Someday, maybe. "Hang on, sweetheart," Jake said now. "We're going to fly the hull." The cool spray of the water glistened on his surf shirt as he let out a little on the jib sheet. The catamaran rode up, skimming across the waves on the opposite hull. He held the tiller and the main sheet in his left hand, controlled the jib sheet with his right, the sails on a broad reach. "Woohoo!" He glanced again at Aggie. No smile as she hung on, her braids flying. Tough crowd. The cat rose to a 45-degree angle, nearly past the point of no return as they sliced through the waves. A few ski boats bobbed in the distance in Smith's Bay, one of the favorite wakeboarding spots. He'd probably be buzzing his two nephews through it later today, or maybe farther, under the bridge and into Crystal Bay. Now he kept heading west, toward Big Island, along the shoreline of St. Louis Bay. The wind burned his ears, and he pulled in the jib as the cat picked up even more speed. Yeah, this day had all the makings of a restart. Erase the crazy 2 weeks he'd spent nearly dying on Denali. And maybe, too, stop obsessing over the fact that every time he found something good, he managed to screw it up with his stupid, impulsive behavior. Like the fact that he'd finally met a woman. The woman. And, well, he wasn't sure what happened. But the fact that the last time he'd seen her she was practically running from him should tell him that hadn't quite worked out. Let it go. Let it go. Today was the day of freedom. New starts. Taming the wind and moving on. The jib caught a gust and the cat jerked. He needed more control. Or maybe it was simply the call of the wind. But he shouted at Aggie, "Stay put!" Then Jake scooted out and braced his feet on the edge, letting the trapeze hold him as he leaned out over the water. Pulling in the jib, he slowed them just enough for him to set his feet, then let the sail out again. The wind grabbed him, shot the hull up. He was flying, water spraying up, his body hanging over the water. Hoo-yah! Better than sky jumping, better than diving. Hanging 10 on his cat made him feel like Aquaman, master of the waves. A noise breached the wind and he looked down to see Aggie looking up at him. Was that a smile? It turned her entire countenance to sunshine and light, her blue eyes luminous. Wow! Jake thought she looked like Ham when she was serious, all intensity and focus. But when she smiled, Jake saw the man who'd led and inspired SEAL Team 3 for the better part of a decade. A person of strength and hope. The kid just might be okay if they all played this right. Jake grinned back at her. "Fun, right?" She nodded. Well, well. He angled them around a fishing boat and into the wide-open chop of Lower Lake South. Jet skiers chased him down the shore, lifting their hands. Early wakeboarders had arrived, surfing behind double-engine boats churning up wake. A chilly breeze made him glance behind him. A brouhaha of black clouds gathered at the far eastern end of the lake, rolling like fists over the horizon, tumbling his direction. And judging by the sheet of dark blue, rain. They still had time, but the way the wind bit the bare skin of his legs with icy teeth, probably he should steer them home.